Welcome, everyone, to another edition of Deconversion Stories. And today I have the absolute pleasure of chatting with the African Humanist, as you can see right here. And also, guys, if you're unfamiliar with her, please, there are some links below. So go and check out all of her stuff on YouTube, and you can stalk her on Facebook, too, if you want. Now, I know that this is an unusual time for me to go, but I generally tend to do this when I speak to people that live a distance away where it's more convenient for them to be awake, we'll say, while I go live. So welcome to the show, African Humanist. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks. It's a pleasure to be on your show.
Well, thank you very much. Also, guys, in the chat there. And basically what I do here is I chat with people about their journeys away from whatever belief systems they were once a part of, and the ups and downs, you know, all the little details and stuff like that. So what I generally ask is for people to kind of take us back to when they're young and how they got kind of involved with the belief system and how they eventually found their way out. So it's all up to you now. And I'll just jump in with stupid things to say every once in a while.
Okay. So yes, right. My deconversion story. Let's start at the beginning.
Okay.
So I grew up in a home where mom and dad went to church, and they went to different variety of church, but this was in Africa. And in Africa, it's a galore of churches. Each person has their own church. Anyone can wake up in the morning and decide, I want to have my own church. They can
Right.
start off in one church and decide, I'm not happy with these doctrines. I'll go open mine. Right. So
Oh, wow.
there's churches everywhere. So just pick your choice. Pick. So we started off. I remember it was the Presbyterian church. My folks used to go to the Presbyterian church, and they didn't like it there. They wanted something more fundamental, something more, and so they took us to this church called the Deeper Life Church, and I think that's where most of my indoctrination took place. This particular church, I consider it a cult. Looking back now, I consider that was a cult because we were told not to wear, the women were not allowed to wear trousers.
Oh, wow. What
Women
was the
couldn't.
reasoning behind that? Do you
Holy,
know?
they were after your holiness.
Oh,
That was the main thing about them. They were about holiness, and they had scriptures to back everything up. A place in the Bible that says women are not allowed to adorn themselves with jewelry. So women couldn't wear any form of jewelry whatsoever. You couldn't even wear perfume. You couldn't wear you couldn't wear deodorant.
What?
You couldn't wear deodorant, no, because the smell of your deodorant could lead the next person to, have a whiff of that smell, and they could turn around. And so no, that wasn't allowed. But
Wow.
my mom allowed us to have a bit of smellies, because my mom didn't want us. She didn't want us smelling bad when we go out.
Sure.
We were told to throw away our televisions. We're not allowed. Yeah, we're not allowed to watch TV. Then there was a certain way you dressed. I think I've seen the Amish. Is the Amish people? The Amish people those kind of dresses. Those were the kind of dresses we were
So,
told to wear, and
like
we
all the
always
way to
had
the
to.
floor, right?
Exactly.
Right.
Right. And so yeah, that's the kind of church we grew up in, and my folks were there for a good number of years. But the moment we had the choice, we children had the choice whether we went to church or not. All of us, myself and my siblings, all of us were out of there. We couldn't do it. We just said to my mom and dad, no, we couldn't do it. But what was funny was I happened to know someone in the choir. He was a choir director, but he was sleeping with everybody in the choir. There were
Oh
things
boy.
going there were things going on. But as children, you couldn't question anything.
Right.
But then when I look back now, I realize the more you try and suppress people, the more you try and say to them, don't do this and don't do that and don't do that, they'll end up doing it. They'll end up doing it somehow. And in that particular church, you couldn't marry anyone. You couldn't marry just anyone. No. You have to come to the church. So according to them, they would say you have to it's so your partner is the will of God for you. That's the will. So you're only given one in a lifetime,
Right.
just the
Right.
one. So that person is the will of God for you. So if a brother if a brother has been, if the will of God for him has been revealed to him, he has to go to, they had a committee, the marriage committee.
Mm-hmm.
They have to go to the marriage committee, go and tell them, this is the person that God revealed to me. Then the marriage committee, then they go and pray about it, let the person know what's going on, and then they have to then seek God's opinion, whether that's indeed the will of God for this person, or if the person is not, if that's not the will of God, then they will have to tell them, this is not the will of God for you, but this other person is this. So they decided who you married, they decided who you were friends with. We couldn't be friends with anyone. We couldn't just we just couldn't live our lives and just be us. We had to live by the dictates of the church.
Right.
But the moment my mom sat us down and said, okay, you guys have hit the age of 16, I think 16. Mom said, you you can choose if you want to come with us, or you can choose to go to your own church now. I'll tell you, I was out of there. I was no way. I couldn't do it. I couldn't leave. I couldn't leave that life. But even though I was never, even though I stopped going to that church, the church was never far from me, if you know what I mean. It was,
Mm.
I would always come back to, so what I did was always look for a church that was not strict, but as similar, and those kind of things. And then I came to the United Kingdom. So when I came to the United Kingdom, I was told in the UK, no, you do not go to a church, the English church.
Mm-hmm.
You have to stick to the African church, because the English people they're not serving God. They're too lenient, they're too
Mm-hmm.
relaxed, and they're not strict enough. And so you have to go to a church where you're closer to God. So as
Right.
far as the Africans were concerned, the English people were not close to God at all, and they were devil worshipping.
Oh boy.
They were worshipping the devil. So I was in the UK and went to church, but then I've always been a very curious person. I've always been the sort that I wouldn't take I wouldn't take your word for it. I want to find out for myself why.
Right.
And so um well, I was married. I was in a marriage for 10 years, nearly 10 years. And he was the will of God. He was the will of God.
Well, he was like, what? You were like betrothed or something, or?
I was married. Married.
No, I know, but I mean, like, he was the only one you were allowed to, according to your church at the time.
No,
Okay.
you're not allowed. No, no other. And a prophet, a prophet told me and my ex-husband, the prophet told us that we we had found each other. We had found our soulmates, and we would never be fulfilled if we went off with somebody else. And so we were not allowed to go with anybody else. We had to stick to that one person.
Mm.
But I was in an abusive marriage. He was very quick with his fists. He was violent. And
Wow. I'm
I
sorry.
felt, okay, it's done now. I felt like, how is this the will of God for me?
Right.
And I'm in this kind of position where, you know, at the drop of a hat, he wants to strike with his hands. I'm thinking, how on earth can God think that this is ideal? Because the prophet told us that this was it. We didn't have any choice. We had to stay in this marriage.
Hmm.
So, anyways, I had enough of the African version of church because just too many things were going on there I didn't like. So I thought, okay, I will go to the English church, see if that's any better or if any different.
Hmm.
And then when I walked in there, it was different. Indeed, it was. And it was very relaxed. And it was very, they were not as fundamental as the African version of the churches I used to go to.
Right.
And I started to ask, but why? Why are they so different if they're all serving the same God?
Right.
It's the same Jesus. But why so different though? So I grew up believing in hell. I grew
Yeah.
up because we used to when we went to church as children, they used to take us to movie night. And movie night was no Walt Disney movie. It was nothing of that sort. They would take us to go and watch The Burning Hell in church. So
Oh, wow.
movie night was in church, and we would be shown the burning hell where you would go to if you died and went to hell. The depictions of gnashing of teeth and your body burning and all these things. And I used to have really bad sleepless nights because I used to believe that I would go to sleep, never wake up, and just
Mm.
go to hell. I
Mm.
just never felt. I never felt for 1 second that I was ever a candidate for heaven.
Really?
I
Like,
oh
not at all?
no,
Do you think it's
you
because
know,
of all the rules and disciplines that they had that you couldn't obey or something? Maybe something like
it
that?
was it was a thought crime because you're
Oh,
you're
yeah,
told that your thoughts, God judges you on your
yeah.
thoughts.
Yeah, sure he does. But yeah.
And some of these thoughts, you can't help them.
Mhm.
I mean, at that time, I was dating this boy. Well, he then turned out to be my boyfriend. Well, I dumped him when I was much young, dumped him because I said to him, I'm a born again Christian now. I can't carry on dating you. But I really liked it. I really did. And
Aw.
every time I found my thoughts wandering towards him, that's it. I'd sinned.
Oh, boy.
So I always had to go back and say, God, forgive me. I can't, because you were told that you shouldn't lust. You shouldn't lust after the other sex. And so every time I felt myself thinking about him or any just anything, it's like going back to square one. So when people asked, what day did you give your life to Christ? I I can't think of a day I gave my life to Christ because I gave my life to Christ every day.
Mm.
I'd wake up every day just because I never felt like I was ever good enough. And so
Right.
when I went into the Church of England and realized that things were very different, and these were the people who brought Christianity to Africa. English people, they brought their
Sure.
version of Christianity. And how come what they have and what we were taught was so different? And so I think that's when the questions started to arise. I started to well, when I joined the Church of England, I was quite pleased. I enjoyed church. I enjoyed just going and just, it was a community for me. It was everything.
Hmm.
And I wanted to be part of everything. I was in the choir.
Wow.
I was, I said I was part of leadership. I did the first year of a course. It's called the Living Faith course. I
Hmm.
did the second year. Second year was Pathways to Ministry.
Hmm.
And so my path was set. So in 2020 September, I should have been starting theology school,
Right. Right.
starting to be a priest. But my beliefs didn't match with what they believed anymore. And I started to ask questions. I
Hmm.
wanted to know if the doctrines and the things that we were taught at the other place was any different to what they had here. And so
Sure.
I started to ask about hell. And when the vicar told me he didn't believe in hell,
Wow.
I I just I was gobsmacked. I
Yeah. No
thought,
kidding.
what? Something that's plagued me all my life. And here you are saying you don't believe in hell. It was good. It was good. But then I started to think, okay, so what else? What else are they not telling us? What else is there to know?
Hmm.
And so when George Floyd died, in the church, a lot of things started to come up. Racism in the church
Hmm.
started to come up. The black people in the church started talking, saying, we've experienced racism in this church and we've this, and we started to, it brought up a lot of things.
Hmm.
And so, and then I started to, well, someone somewhere said, did you know that Jesus was not a white man? I said, what? What did you say? He was not a white man? Yeah, he wasn't a white man. So what? No, 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 no.
Well, technically, he
Growing
couldn't have been.
growing up, growing up, we were shown an image of white man, blonde hair, blue eyes,
Hmm.
and you're telling me he's not a white man? I said, okay, I know what I'll do. I'll go to the church. I'll go and sit with the vicar. I wanted to know, and he confirmed it. He said that's something the church needs to apologize for,
Hmm.
pushing the narrative that Jesus was a. And then he said some people actually think that Jesus was a black Rastafarian.
Wow.
And I'm there
He'd be
thinking,
more badass, in my opinion.
really, a
Yeah.
black Rastafarian?
Yeah.
And so I wasn't satisfied with his answers. I went to the other vicar to go and ask, and she also confirmed that Jesus, he would. She said he would have been brown. She didn't
Mm.
say he was a black. She said he would have been brown.
Yeah, something
Okay,
more Middle Eastern, maybe.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so And then she said to me, I think she was just trying to soften things and not make me too riled up about it. She said, what a lot of people do is they think of Jesus in the image that they identify with.
Right.
So she said to me not to worry too much about his ethnicity, but worry about what he came to do.
Right.
So focus on what Jesus came to do. But I'm thinking, if you could lie about his ethnicity,
Mm-hmm.
what else could you be lying about? And
Pretty
so,
much all of it.
before this time, I started watching the Atheist Experience,
Yeah. Yeah.
Matt Dillahunty, then found the Talk Heathen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then I found lots of all these shows. Every Sunday, I'm glued. I'm glued to my tablet, my phone. I'm watching everything. And even on a weekday, I'm just going through all of the programs. Anywhere Matt Dillahunty's name comes up, I'm watching.
I was the same way. But eventually I got to become friends with him, so that's pretty cool.
I know that I've been watching some of your stuff, so I know that you and him. I heard how you and him became friends and how you
Yeah.
went after him, and yeah. I
He's
trust
a
me.
good dude.
I've been on a lot of the channels. I've just been. I tell you, YouTube is a big part of my deconversion story,
Wow.
and so when I realized there were a lot of lies with the Christian uh, religion, I thought, so what do I do now? Do I carry on going to church? When I was coming out of the marriage, bad marriage, the
Yeah.
church in the African version of church, there's no way I would not be divorced today. I would still have been in that marriage.
Yeah.
But the Church of England, they said, we don't agree with divorce, but if there's abuse,
Mm.
then that's a reason we can accept that reason for divorce. So I was right. I could then get divorced because there was abuse in my marriage.
Right.
Otherwise, they would not be supporting a divorce.
Right.
And so they stood by me. They were there during the whole process. I had to go to court. I had to, custody battle. They were there. And so when I finally realized I'm no longer a Christian, I still carried on going. But
Do you think that was
what
just because you liked the community aspect, stuff like that, and you had lots of friends, I guess?
not lots of friends. I don't have lots of friends, but I felt like if I left, I was going to betray them.
Mm.
I felt like I would be betraying. Because think about it, I was on the journey to becoming a priest.
Mm-hmm.
I was in leadership position.
Sure.
I was in what they call the parochial church council,
Okay.
PCC.
Yeah.
And the Church of England, the bishop had sent an email to all the priests telling them that they need to recruit people from the black and ethnic minority group because the church leadership was too white, and too many male white figures. So there's a drive in the Church of England to
Mm-hmm.
change the leadership of the church. They want to have more representatives from black, ethnic. So if you're black, and then in my with me. I'm a female and I'm black, so I fit the narrative. So the church, they were eager to get me. Come on, let's get her. You know, we need to do everything to get her to become a priest. And here I am saying, I don't believe this thing anymore. So I thought to myself, I think I can maybe just go ahead with it. Just be an atheist, a secret atheist, but just go ahead. But no, I'm not a good liar. I'm not a good I'm not a good liar.
I know I'm a terrible liar too.
If I lied about who I am, you it'd be no time. You find out who I am. So there was no point. And I think what completely did it for me was every time I went to church and I look above me, there's the stained glass windows in church, the old, really old churches. They've got those stained glass windows, and
some of them are quite beautiful, regardless of the symbology.
Absolutely beautiful. But up there,
that's a skill too.
Yeah, they're proud. They're proud of those stained glass windows. It's a beauty. But every time I look up, all I see up there is a white Jesus. It's white Mary and white. Everyone's white.
Yeah.
And you're telling me that Jesus was never a white man. Well, above me, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
So how am I supposed to sit here and you're the church are telling me that what you got up there is a lie? And somehow I'm supposed to sit and be comfortable with this? No. And because the church started trying to bridge the gap between white people and black people, and just they did a Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter service to try and bring everyone together so nobody's focused on race. And hang on, I was part of that service, but only because I felt obliged to do it.
Right.
But that was my last service. I never went back. I was done.
Oh yeah.
And I wrote an official letter to the vicars telling them. And I've received a response. It's 4 pages long, but I haven't read it yet.
Still.
I haven't read it yet.
Why?
I don't know. I think it will upset me. I think.
Yeah, it's possible.
Because I only read the first few lines, and he says I should have had the conversation with him before deciding to leave. So whatever is in there might be just trying to get me to maybe trying to get me back in there. No, I'm not trying to do that.
No, I mean, I'm sure that there's lots in that letter to try to convince you to come back. I'm sure of that. They don't like it when people run away.
True. I will get round to reading it. And what was funny was the one of the vicars actually told me that some of the white people in church were starting to talk, and some of the white people were saying, "We didn't know this was in the Bible. We didn't know the Bible's telling slaves to be obedient to their masters." Yeah. Some of the white people in church were starting to say, "No, we don't agree with this."
Of course not.
So a lot of them had this Bible, but didn't know what was inside the Bible.
That's very common.
And so if some of the white people were starting, a few of them have also left because they don't agree with what Christianity was, what they did in Africa, how they used Christianity to take slaves, and the whole thing to do slavery, and the Bible supports slavery.
Yeah, it surely does. No matter how much they argue against that, you cannot deny it when you read both the Old and the New Testament. It totally endorses it. And it actually advocates for it.
Jesus never once said slavery needs to stop and should not be permitted. Never once.
Agree. Should have been one of the commandments. Thou shalt not own another human being as property.
Exactly.
Guess they missed instead they needed to talk about you shouldn't worship idols and shit like that, or other gods, which is an admission to other gods to begin with, yet they claim there's only one.
I mean, they've got laws about not mixing fabrics.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
And somehow you miss the point of not owning another human being as property.
Oh, it was all the rage back then, don't forget, right? We're talking about a couple thousand years ago. Everybody was owning everybody else at that time. And it's horrendous. It's a horrible part of our history, but I think that humanity should have evolved well past that by now. But it still goes on, even to this day.
And the thing is, so when I told my folks that I'm no longer a Christian, I made it public, put it on my Instagram and my Facebook. Said, don't believe. Oh my goodness, it's been they're so desperate to get me back in. People that I haven't spoken to in a long time somehow think, I mean, I had a gentleman ring me and he said, I'm worried for you. I said, why? And I asked, why are you worried? He says, you're going to be eternally damned.
No, I won't be.
Says, I'm worried for your eternal damnation, he says. I said, oh, yeah. Okay. So I stopped, and this was from Matt Dillahunty, right? Yeah. So I said to him, have you ever stopped to think about the other religions? I said, you only think about your Christian religion. Have you ever stopped to think about those other religions? I said, according to the Muslims, you are going to hell.
That's
according
right.
to the other religions, you are going to hell. So I said, oh, it's fine. You think I'm going to your Christian hell. But hey, you're going to the Muslim hell. Have you thought? And when I said that, he was gobsmacked. He couldn't speak. He couldn't speak. I said, yeah. I said, you worry about me going to hell, but hang on, you're going to God knows how many versions of hell. You know,
well, there's lots.
I had another. This is a friend. He's a friend of mine, but he's a pastor. He leads his own church. He's got about over 500 people in his church. Right. And he rang me saying, "Oh, you're an atheist. Oh gosh." He says, it says, "Oh, atheists have no boundaries. Atheists have no Atheists have no boundaries. So you tell me you've got no boundaries?" I'm like, what are you talking about? Atheists have no boundaries.
Of course we do.
Of course we do.
We can't cross that line to go into church or synagogue or that's a boundary.
And that's where the issue of morality. Someone has said, where do you get your morality from these days?
Same place you do.
I'm not going out there robbing a bank. I'm not going out there shooting people. I'm not going out there stealing from, it's just nothing's changed about me, just my
That's right.
belief system. But
That's right.
somehow these people believe that without the Bible, you're not moral. But hang on, the Bible is an immoral book.
Oh yeah.
When you look at the Bible, my goodness, I think about the story of Noah's story.
Yeah.
It upsets me because
Yeah.
it's not about the people who made it into the ark. I think about the people who didn't make it into the ark.
Mhm.
That is, I don't believe that story is true. Anyways,
It can't be. It can't possibly be.
it can, I know it's been debunked time and time again.
Oh, I know. We
But
don't have enough water for that to begin with, let
no,
alone the animals from South America. How the hell they get over there? How did a sloth get on the boat?
how did elephants get into?
Well,
Can you imagine? Can you imagine 2 elephants on that boat?
there's no possible way they'd have died within the first 8 hours just from the methane alone from the poop.
Not
Yeah, it's
possible.
ridiculous.
Not possible.
No.
Anyway, I think about the people who didn't make it. I'm sure there would have been children. There would have been pregnant
Unborn kids.
women.
Oh yeah.
So how is this moral? Think about the story of Job.
It's moral because they claim it's God's will. So that's what makes it moral, which is an utter, absolutely horrifying excuse, in my opinion.
No. And I don't know, since I've become an atheist, I look at the Bible now and it's like I see the book with a different set of lenses.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see it like I used to when I was a Christian.
Right.
It's very different. And I don't
Oh
know
yeah.
why. So it's like the things, it's like a narrative. Someone telling a story and someone trying to tell you their version of a story.
Mm-hmm.
But now I'm looking at the story thinking, hang on, there's some things that you've missed out. There's some things
just,
that don't add up.
just some. Oh yeah. Yeah.
And hang on, so the Bible, when look at the Bible, 66 books. I know the 66 books are here. I could tell you all of, but
Termites.
how come the Catholic people have more books than 66 books?
Right.
How come the Ethiopians, I think that is the Ethiopian Christians, they've got more books. So hang on, even the Christians cannot make up their minds about their religion. It's like there's a different, and I think in my case, because I'm African,
Mm-hmm.
the Christianity in Africa, oh my
Hmm.
goodness, it's something else. It's something else. I have a video. I have a video on my channel
Mm-hmm.
where this man calls himself a prophet. He's got his members naked, his male members, they're naked in this dirty river.
Wow.
He claims he's got powers to make them millionaires by having a bath in this dirty river. And he's calling on the name of Jesus. He's praying to Jesus while he's saying all these rituals. And then he brings out a mirror. He brings out, there's a mirror, and he says, this is the mirror of life. He says, this is the mirror of life. And
Hmm.
he's trying to use the name of Jesus to pray all these, well, the incantations
Mm-hmm.
to make his members millionaires. I mean, that's the state of Christianity in Africa. It's nothing like what you have, say, like what you have. Well, no, a lot of the African Christianity, they take a lot of the American especially the prosperity gospel. Oh,
Yeah. If it were true, why are there so many poor people still?
it's crazy. And the rich pastors. I mean, there's a particular there's a particular there's a he's a what is he now? I think he's a bishop now. He's a bishop in Africa. He's got 4 private jets.
Oh boy.
4. He's got 4 of them, and he's got a massive, massive church. Massive. His churches, they're now all over the place. And last year, he says he's going to have his plan is to have 10,000 more churches in the rural areas. Nigeria is the poverty
Why not
capital of the world.
hospitals?
That Nigeria is the poverty capital of the world.
Right.
And you want to have 10,000 more of your church all
It's
over the, and he was specific. He said in the rural areas. So in the villages, in the places where people 10,000, and I was in this group chat saying, how on earth can this man be allowed to do this? And people were saying, why not? Why not? It's the gospel. They're spreading the gospel. I said, he's a bishop of his own church. Imagine if all the bishops decided to have 10,000 of theirs. That means everyone. Look, there's churches everywhere you go. Look, I've got a video on my channel. There's 8 churches on one building. 8
in one building.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable.
8. On one floor, there's 2 churches. One floor, one church on the left, one church on the right. And there's, I think it's how many stories? I think about 4 or 5 story buildings.
Wow.
And the people are getting poorer and poorer and poorer.
Of course,
It's
they have to
clearly
tithe
it's
to all
not
these
it's
churches.
not, of course, because they to pay, and the thing is, tithe is compulsory.
Yep. You don't
So
have a choice.
not only is tithe compulsory, then you have to pay offerings. And after offerings, do you know that in Africa, a lot of the churches, come January, they push what they call first fruits. Do you know what first fruits is?
I've heard the term. I'm not sure I know exactly what it is, but there might be lots of people watching that don't. So let us know exactly what that's about. I think I know, but yeah.
So first fruits, according to most of these people, they want you to bring your entire January's salary, entire, everything.
Well, because who needs to pay rent?
No. So there's 12 months in the year. For 11 months, you bring 10%. But for the month of January, they want all of it.
Wow.
That's your first fruits.
Unbelievable.
It is.
I mean, how else is
unbelievable.
he supposed to pay for his jets, though, right?
And then for people who are self-employed, oh, this is ridiculous. One of them, it's on my channel. I put this video on my channel about first fruits.
And there's a link
of,
below, by the way, guys,
the,
to
the,
her channel.
the title of it is First Fruits is a Scam. The son of one of the the man, he is the richest. He is the biggest pastor in, I think, in the whole of Africa. His son came out and he was saying, for people who've got businesses, whatever you make in the month of January, you could choose to give everything before you pay your staff. And when you're done giving the church, then you can then go and look for some money to pay your staff.
Right.
So they want you to give so imagine you had a business and you made 10,000 naira for the month. He was saying you could. He didn't say it was compulsory. He said you could give everything before paying your staff, and then go and find the rest of go and find the money for you. And then he had the effrontery to say, on top of paying all of everything you make, don't forget to pay the tithe as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's ridiculous. So now I'm an atheist now. So as far as I'm concerned, all these people are scammers. All of them are, because it's not real. They're just selling myths to people and calling people. They have, and this is the sad part. A pastor can tell the member that your mom or your dad is the reason why you're not doing well. Your father, your mother, they could just pick any. So people have been accused. The pastor can say, God told me to tell you that your mother is behind your problems. And you get people going back and killing their mom.
Unbelievable.
Because the pastor said, my mother is the cause of my problems.
Right. Unbelievable.
It's
amazing how they'll it's amazing how they'll stoop to saying ridiculous things like that.
And these people, a lot of them have T.D. Jakes as their mentors. A lot of them have Joel Osteen as their mentor. A lot of them, they have Creflo Dollar. Oh, Creflo Dollar is very, very popular with the African pastors. In fact, they come over there. What's his name? Benny Hinn. Oh, Benny Hinn works with one of them. Chris Oyakilome, and they do shows together. Benny Hinn came to Nigeria, right?
Oh boy.
He told the Nigerian pastors, "I'm coming over," right? And he said, so he sent money, and he wanted them to get millions of people for his program so they can get lots of money. They got his money, right? The pastors there, they got his money, but the numbers he was expecting didn't turn up. He was angry. Was it Benny Hinn? Was it Benny Hinn? Yeah, it was Was it Benny Hinn? Yeah, it was Benny Hinn. Was it Benny Hinn? Am I right in saying that? Yeah, one of the pastors, he got scammed by pastors in Africa.
What do you mean? God wasn't watching his back? Or he might have been looking away, I guess.
He was very angry. Apparently, he had a meeting after the program was over, and the numbers he was expecting didn't turn up. He had a meeting with the pastors, and by this time, the money is gone.
Oh boy.
And you have people you have pastors who, because a lot of them didn't go to theology school, a lot of them didn't go to seminary school. They just would wake up, just decide, oh, I get my Bible, and that's it. I've been called by God. And the trouble is that they get books from T.D. Jakes, they get the videos, they get so a lot of them are mirroring everything they're seeing from the American pastors.
Mm-hmm.
And what was really bad when the president was there, Donald Trump, oh, that was a really bad time. Because everything what was happening in America was a lot of the pastors. You have pastors telling the members, oh my goodness, I've got a video. The pastor was telling his members to pray that the angels should go and change the ballot papers around in favor of Donald Trump.
Well, that didn't work.
Of course it didn't.
Right.
So
Unbelievable.
they believed that Donald Trump was the savior. He was sent by God, and God had ordained this man, and this man was. So when Donald Trump didn't win, I tell you, I was one of the happiest, because the narrative that the African pastors and the preachers and were pushing, and now, instead of the people to say, you people got it wrong, you people said you heard from, a lot of them said God told them that Donald Trump was going to win, and now he hasn't won. It's business as usual. How is that possible? How? Never mind. I'm very animated when I start talking about this stuff. Sorry.
Oh, no, I can understand why. So yeah, no problem. Just saw a quick little message that was sent to me from Spooky Bedhair, whose mom needs a blood transfusion every couple of weeks or so. So they wanted to say thanks. I do blood donation groups, so they wanted to say thank you for what I do. Even though I'm in Canada, they're in England, it's still the more people that get out there and do that and donate blood, the better.
I went to go and donate blood, and they told me never to come back. They don't want me there anymore. Apparently, I've got you've got traces of malaria. You were ill at some point. Maybe you've had you've been treated for malaria, and it will always come up in your blood. So they said, don't come back.
Well, it sucks when you can't donate, especially if you want to, but you have to you got to understand that they are doing that to protect the recipients, of course, right? So there are other ways. I know that here where I live, you can still donate for research purposes. You can go to special labs and donate blood for research purposes, like cancer research, or research in battling things like malaria, stuff like that. So there are other ways to help out with blood donations. At least here. I'm not sure about anywhere else.
Okay. I've got a question for you.
Sure.
So now I consider myself, I'm an atheist, right?
Sure.
I've seen a few people say, oh, I was once an atheist, but now I'm a Christian. Do you think that's possible? I don't think it's possible. I think when you become an atheist, you see what religion is for what it really. How on earth do you go back to being a theist? So
I know.
what do you think? What do you think, Neil?
Well, I can't speak for them, but what I can, what goes through my head, I think, is maybe you thought you were, or something. Maybe you weren't sure of your beliefs, which would make you more of an agnostic than an atheist, really. But I think it's tough to go back into something once you've seen behind the curtain, like in The Wizard of Oz. Everyone's scared of the wizard until you look behind the curtain and see the little douchebag pulling all the fucking levers and pushing the buttons, right? Then you're like, oh, I see. And I think once people see behind the curtain of religion, they see almost the same thing. They just see people pulling levers and pushing buttons and then putting out fear tactics to keep people involved in the belief system. Because if you're scared to leave, and which is one of the reasons why they say, don't question. As soon as you're in a belief system that tells you immediately not to question, get the hell out of it. That's all I can tell you. But yeah, I think it's very tough to escape something once you're already ensconced that deeply. But I do believe that once you see behind the curtain, you can't see it for anything else anymore. And that's why I don't want to do the whole no true Scotsman fallacy thing, but I just don't think that the people really whereas atheists, as they may have thought they were, because once you've seen the truth or you understand how it works, it's tough to go back into that and actually be a believer. Maybe they went back into that because a lot of people do, because of, you know, community and family and stuff like that. And they don't want to be ostracized or dismembered, or not dismembered. Whatever the word I'm trying to find. I know that's a little harsh, but
disenfranchised.
Disfellowship. Disfellowshipped or whatever it is. They don't want to be abandoned
right.
by their friends and family. So that could scare people into staying in there, even if they say, "Oh, I was once an atheist and I went back." But I think it's tough once you've seen the truth behind how religions work, and they all work pretty much the same way. They all follow the BITE model, which is behavior control, information control, thought control, and emotional control. They all pretty much work off of that. And once you've seen that, it's tough to go back and actually be a believer. I mean, you can go back, but you probably aren't going to believe. You're just there for show, pretty much, in my opinion.
In my opinion, I think a lot of them are not truthful when they say they were an atheist. I think a lot of them just say it just for points, to make the arguments more, make people think, oh, he knows what he's talking about. I think a lot of them are not. They're not truthful. They're not genuine in saying that.
Don't worry, Mark. It was just me misspeaking.
Oh yeah, and another reason why I started the my channel is this thing with because in Nigeria at the moment, if you're caught in the act of if you're LGBT and you're caught in the act, you get 14 years.
14 years
14 years in jail.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So, and religion is a very, very big push when it comes to the LGBT issues. I was talking to a friend, and he considers transgender people, he considers them animals as far as he's concerned. And I think your God is so particular about what people do with their private parts. It's ridiculous. I mean, your country is the poverty capital of the world, but somehow your God missed that. God don't care about that.
Yeah, he could easily just snap his fingers, and they would be a rich country if they wanted to.
And your God cares who you sleep with. Does it make sense?
No,
and
not at all.
You have people disowning their children for this.
Yep.
I heard about a young man. He committed suicide because he couldn't come out to his mom and dad that he was gay. I mean, why?
I know it's ridiculous. You think, if you use a Thanos snap. Exactly. Think of God being something like us, what we would be to like ants. Like, that's how insignificant we would actually be to a deity like that. That's omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent, and allegedly omnibenevolent. But I can't see that one being real. But do we care how ants have sex? No. like why? Like, that'd be like us worrying about how bacteria, although we know how bacteria have sex, but still, they
say, oh, God, it's Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. Okay, but hang on, what happened to intersex people? What about people who are born with both sexes? Then what happens then? There are nuances when it comes to sexuality. We can't all be the same. We can't all identify as this, and it's just. Oh.
Agreed. I know it's ridiculous, but my dear, we are almost at the hour. Actually, we just hit an hour. Goes by real quick, doesn't it?
It does. Absolutely. It does.
But that's right. I definitely want to thank you. I've been looking forward to chatting with you because I've watched you on a few other shows, and I just love what you speak about and what you represent. And I think it's fantastic. And I thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank you.
And we will carry on in an after party. And I know there's a lot of ladies out there that are going to be jumping in. They're going to hijack my stream, apparently, for the after party. So,
Okay.
and I don't even have Mikey with me today because he got trapped at work. So it's just going to be me and all you ladies. And I know that a bunch of you guys want to jump in with us. So what you'll have to send me a message either via Twitter or Facebook, and or email if you're not on either of those. My email's down below. It's 604atheist@gmail.com. And also, don't forget about all of the African Humanists links below. Definitely go and check out her channel and give her a sub. She's, in my opinion, criminally undersubbed. So she's got a lot of great videos that make a lot of great points. So go down there and check that out. And you can also follow her on Twitter as well. I think I have the links for those definitely down there. And I can't remember what I did all yesterday, and I was kind of already half drunk when I did it. So, but anyways, how do you be half drunk? I don't know. But anyways, I do want to say that it's been absolutely awesome chatting with you today once again. So all you guys out in the chat there, thank you very much for joining us. And to everyone who decided to check this out on Facebook, thank you guys. I've just started putting these up on Facebook. If you're unfamiliar with what I do, there's you can always go to my channel and check. I've got like 300 something plus episodes of these amazing stories of people finding their way from bullshit belief systems. Anyways, guys, before I head out of here, a couple of things I want to mention of. First of all my amazing patrons. It's because of you guys the show improves and keeps on going. Because I do have a job and I work full time, but the extra money that comes in to make better productions is always great. So thank you very much for all your support. And I'm not sure if you've heard, but Randolph and I are starting our own show coming up very soon called True North Talk. It's a call-in show very similar or akin to the Atheist Experience, Truth Wanted, Talk Heathen, and the like. So definitely give us a sub over at the True North Talk channel, which you can find either just typing it into YouTube, or you can visit us at www.truenorthtalk.com, and they'll have a link there for you as well. And you can come watch myself and the lovely Cynthia, who's in the chat, and Jenna Miu, and Martin, and Johnny Angel, and Mikey Famine, and a whole bunch more folks who are the new hosts of the relaunched Nonprofits. So head over to that channel and give it a sub as well. And one more thing here, the last Saturday of every month, myself and Andy Hill and Seamus, Andy has his own channel called Laughing in Disbelief, where this particular show airs every last Saturday of every month. So head over to Laughing in Disbelief, give us a sub over there. And we're also joined by Seamus from the Free Thought Prophets. And we also have a guest every month. And it's a little show called Atheist Drinking Out Loud, where we have a few beers and make fun of shit. It's a lot of fun to watch and a lot of fun to be a part of. So if you are interested in being a part of it, let myself or Andy or Seamus know. And until next time, guys, like I always say at the ends of these things, hang on, let me find it here. Nope, that's not it. I think it's this one. All right. Yep. Like the late, great Christopher Hitchens once said, it's called faith because it's not knowledge. And we'll see you guys next time. And there's a link to the after party below, guys, so you can head over there. Take care, everyone. We'll see you guys next time.